Football lovers, don't adjust your TV sets. We don't have Kelly Rowland on the show. It's just another beautiful, dark queen that happens to be the queen of African football, Auntie D Ski herself.
Be honest, you do light up when it's me on the segment. When it's time for women's football, you do light up. I love it. How are you, Ade?
I'm fine. Listen, have you been watching the Club World Cup? Because a team recently got beaten 10-0.
I have.
And it made me realize some of the struggles in the women's game.
Yeah.
Because really, real talk, we can't make fun of that scoreline because those players have proper day jobs. They're going through things, they have bills to pay, and it just puts into light everything you'd been trying to explain about the women's game.
100%. I mean, there's a lot of, we talk about this conversation all the time to say, there's a lot of components and elements that need to be invested into the game to make sure that we dignify those scorelines, because there isn't anything as devastating as seeing a scoreline like that, But I think it's the resources, man. It's the tools that actually play a very technical and a very important role in making sure that a team is well structured to avoid those kind of score lines. But we'll get there one day.
Yeah, I've stopped laughing at those score lines, really. Now, let's get into the breaking story you have for us today, because there's someone that recently announced a retirement and it sent shockwaves through South African women's football.
Absolutely. It was very shocking, very unexpected for a lot of people. This is a very young player that, has really paved and cemented herself very well in the, football community, not just in the national team spaces. But, we are speaking about Jermaine Seoposenwe. This is a player that has really done so well in the structures.
Wait a minute. She's only 31 years old.
She's only 31 years old.
Why is she hanging up her boots so young?
Listen, her statement that she put out there didn't really specify as to what the reasons were, but she did say that she took so much time thinking about it. It's been on her mind. We can imagine this was a very difficult decision for her to make if it's been sitting on her mind. I don't anticipate that a 31-year-old who's performing at such high level, who's at her peak, who scored one of the most prominent and most important goals in every qualifier that Banyana Banyana has actually had. Jermaine Seoposenwe was behind, the ball when she scored. So I don't think it was just an easy decision. She did speak about her well-being, and many can speculate, that to say maybe just for her mental well-being or her physical well-being, she's deciding to step away. And she's not stepping away from football for a lot of people who are confused. She's just retiring from national duty. Same as Robin, who did the same thing, who's a player at JVW. She also stepped away from national duty, but she continues to do well at JVW, in our domestic league, But I think I respect a decision like that because it took a lot for her to do that. We would have already wanted to see her.
The timing of the announcement, though, couldn't she have waited for the WAFCON to be over? We know that next year's WAFCON is also the World Cup qualifiers. Wouldn't they need her for that tournament? Maybe only then should she have hung up her boots.
I've got two sides of this, right? The one side would obviously say that definitely, she's hanging her boots after this WAFCON, which is important, but not as important as the FIFA qualifying one. And seeing that she is, a forward that she really has pace. Going into this WAFCON, we already know that Tembi's not part of the squad. We already know that there is a bit of an injury conversation and situation with Hilda. We already saw the exclusions of players like Nicole Michael, who's one of the pasty forwards that they would have, substituted. So it's a bit of a concern, going into this WAFCON that, if this is her last, how are we going to then face the one for FIFA World Cup? Because she is going to be a prominent and a very important part. But my other side says, at what cost should she then compromise? We don't know what she's compromising to be in the national team. No. So we need to step back a bit and stop being selfish as a nation, in as much as we are very hurt and we really want to see her prosper and do well. But I think we need to respect her decision. And choosing her well to step away.
I have a quote here from former Banyana captain Janine van Veek, who believes the news could galvanize the squad. She says, knowing this is Jermaine's last dance at WAFCON, it could push the squad to give that extra 10% to make sure she signs off on a high by defending the title.
And that's what we need, that's
You
what we
agree
need.
with her?
Yeah, I definitely agree with her to say, players are going to get onto that field to really make her proud, to give her the best send-off. Person who made that quote is Janine van Beek. We saw how the girls played to give her send-off. So I think it's going to be very important. And sometimes we need that pressure. When you know that your strong player or, one of the prominent core players in the team aren't there, it does give a team a bit of a shake, and gives them a run for their money. So I think they will definitely make her proud to make sure that the send-off is absolutely something phenomenal.
Wow, she is going to be sorely missed. Over 100 caps for the
Over 100
national
caps.
side, and
Over 100.
she scored crucial goals against Nigeria and Tunisia. And let's move on to the country we're going to be profiling today.
Morocco. So
Yes.
excited. Morocco are the host. We know that they were the host as well for the last edition where we saw Banyana Banyana lift the trophy. They are also going to be the host for the FIFA qualifying WAFCON. And I mean, Ade, if that doesn't scream, we are putting our hand up. There's growth in women's football. I don't know what does, They have done so well in women's football as a team that basically came from behind to where they currently are now. I'm super proud of them. We saw in the last edition of the FIFA World Cup, their first appearance, their debut, they actually moved, to the group of 16, which was phenomenal. A lot of teams have had their first and their second and their third chances. An African team, came and did that. Super phenomenal, amazing players that we've seen do quite well. I think this is going to be a team to definitely look out for. I think they are in a bit of a tough group, but I think with what the investment that they've put in their team and in that club, in the national team, I definitely see them doing quite well.
All right, so Auntie Diski has just confirmed that Morocco is her favorites to win the next
You like
WAFCON.
doing this.
Yes, we do have to, she's never going to admit it on camera, but off camera.
Pull it out of me.
Yes, So, Auntie Diski, thank you so much for joining us. And hey, look out for her story on the Umzansi Fundi's show.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, okay. Free marketing for Auntie Diski. All right, we'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about Masanda Wana and so much more. Stay tuned.